Oh my goodness. Barry Trotz, man. Look, I'm going to say it right here. The way Barry Trotz is running this Nashville Predators team, oh boy, he's certainly making a name for himself, isn't he? He certainly is doing something. What that thing is, I don't know. But we'll get into it and more in this video because earlier this morning, the Nashville Predators have acquired Justus Annunen and a 6th-round pick in the 2025 NHL Draft from Colorado. Take a look at the trade here. By the way, this graphics team, they use the same little arrow that we use in our video thumbnails when we do like sort of trade videos. It's kind of funny. But Nashville has acquired goaltender Justus Annunen and a 2025 6th-round draft pick in exchange for Scott Wedgewood. Wedgewood is heading over to Colorado. Annunen is going over to Nashville. And if you scroll down and read, oh yeah, that's a lot of stuff that ultimately we can take a look at on Elite Prospects. And even at the bottom of this trade report, you know, oh yeah, the Preds acquired a guy. Look at the bottom paragraph. Single game tickets for the Predators 24-25 home games at Bridgestone Arena are available at Ticketmaster.com. Become Smashville loyal with full, half, or quarter season tickets to maximize your benefits and secure the best seats or take advantage of newly featured whatever, right? Like, what a great place to go out there and advertise your stuff. But this trade is in particular very interesting because if you dive into Justus Annunen, he's actually a guy that I believe in a lot as a young guy and as a goaltender of the future. In fact, 4 years ago, we made a YouTube video talking about Justus Annunen and Lukas Dostal. Annunen, of course, Colorado guy, Dostal at the time, Anaheim guy, and these two young dudes were tearing up the Finnish league, and we were saying, yeah, they could be better than Tuukka Rask. They're so good, they're so amazing, they're young, and they happen to have these crazy good profiles, and that was 4 years ago. Now, Justus Annunen had himself a pretty rough go with the Colorado Avalanche this season, posting up an .872 save percentage in 11 games and a .323 goals against. Now, Annunen was one of the guys rotating around because Alexander Georgiev was the starter, and there was a period at the beginning of the season where Annunen actually did take over the reins as the #1 guy. You can see here in terms of the games played. There were some earlier showcases where Annunen had a .962 save percentage, a .926, a .962. He was looking pretty good, and then he got lit the absolute F up by the Tampa Bay Lightning. 5 goals against on 16 shots against, a .688 save percentage for the guy in this just absolute travesty of a game. And I guess that might have been the last straw because eventually Annunen was traded. The funny part is, though, if you want to think about what the goaltending situation in Colorado entails, there were a bunch of guys. Like, of course, if you go over to the Alexander Georgievs of the world, he was going to be there, but you also had a few other guys rotating around, like Kaapo Kähkönen, who was claimed on waivers. It was a really weird thing, what was going on there with the Colorado Avalanche. Let's go over to Hockey DB because it doesn't seem like Elite Prospects is working right now. Oh, no, it is. Yeah, no, game misconduct. Yeah, so it's not working. But take a look at this on Hockey DB. Trent Miner, Alexander Georgiev, Justus Annunen, Kaapo Kähkönen, a bunch of guys rotating around here. The Avalanche in their goaltending situation has been so all over the place. And for Justus Annunen, a guy who's only 24 years old, you can say that it might be a little bit premature to give up on him and his profile this soon. I mean, the Avs want a goalie of the future, right? So what gives? The thing is, in Scott Wedgewood, what they're getting is a guy who's a little bit better, but also way older. 32 years old, signed on till the end of 25-26, making $1.5 million. Scott Wedgewood has an .878 save percentage in 5 games. Okay, wait a minute, what? He's worse? Is he actually? No, he's slightly better. Very, very slightly better. Yeah, Annunen, .872 save percentage, .323. Wedgewood, .878 save percentage. He actually has a higher goals against average. Okay, what the hell does this trade even mean then? What? Like, you gave up a pick to get that guy off of your team? Wait a minute, let's review that one more time. Yeah, so Nashville sent away Wedgewood. They received Annunen, who was a younger goaltender prospect with a better goals against average. And they also received a draft pick. What the hell? This is so strange and bizarre, but the thing is, it doesn't even get all explained from the Nashville POV. Let's go out there and read this Reddit post, the R-Hockey subreddit thread of the trade itself. The Preds have acquired goaltender Justus Annunen and a 6th-round pick. Here are some of the comments that go out there and describe it. Somehow it looks like both sides are slightly disappointed, and that makes me laugh. I still feel like Nashville wins this easily. They get a younger backup goalie and a 6th-round pick, and they ditch their worst goalie that they've had all year. And they get a piece of the Duchesne trade back, one they originally started with, the old long con. They really seem to be good at developing young goalies. Maybe it'll work out for Justus over there. Because of his age, I think it could work really well. So, even though there is a perspective that says, yeah, Nashville actually did do well in this trade, they got themselves a guy, which is very valuable for them, let's go out there and read this. So we signed Scott Wedgewood to push Yaroslav Askarov, our goalie of the future, down the depth chart, which pissed him off and forced a trade. Just to trade Wedgewood anyways for Colorado's goalie of the future, I don't know if this was still the expectation anymore, but what? Top-tier roster management. I seriously cannot stand Barry Trotz as GM. Hated every single move he made this summer trying to go all in, and it's becoming more and more obvious he doesn't know what he's doing. He tried to build a team like me on be a GM mode. Choosing Barry Trotz is going to speedrun the Preds into a poverty franchise as my hill to die on was one of the proudest moments in hockey this summer. To be fair, Barry Trotz gave up no meaningful asset other than cap space they wouldn't otherwise use to get those players. Signing Saros long-term is a no-brainer. As it stands, they have 2 extra picks in the 20 to 32 range on their own, and even with the slew of signings and Yossi potentially signing in a couple of years, they still have loads of cap space. It certainly seems possible Trotz is out of his element as GM, though. I really don't understand this from the Avalanche perspective. I don't know much about Wedgewood, but at least Annunen is a young up-and-coming goaltender. I thought that you would get that other wood-themed goalie. Reunite the Blackwood, Wedgewood, and Miles Wood. Okay, we're not going to comment on that. We have Nabokov, who has a much higher ceiling than Annunen, and we needed a reliable backup like yesterday. Annunen might become something, but I do think at this point the move makes sense. And it's interesting because I feel like if anybody was paying attention to fantasy hockey this year, they would have been all over Justus Annunen because of that really hot start that he had. I think it's a psychological thing where it's like, yeah, he was so good at the beginning, so now we got to think of him as being really good. And it's hard to diverge from that opinion because first impressions make a lot of sense. But yeah, Annunen really started to fall apart as the season went on. I do still believe in him. I still think he's got to be great, but he's got to do that in Nashville now. And to be fair, the Preds have had a really good time at developing goaltenders, in particular Finnish goaltenders, from the Rinnes to the Saroses to the Annunens now. So we'll see whether or not this actually does pay off in the long term for Nashville if Barry Trotz gets his goalie of the future here, who's a lot more willing to stay behind a UC Saros, unlike Yaroslav Askarov. Now, to be fair, part of the reason Askarov was pissed off was because Wedgewood was brought over and he knocked Askarov down a peg on the depth chart. Now, no more Wedgewood. Sorry, Annunen, you just got traded for him. So this is a bizarre trade. It's very weird to try to explain here. I feel like both fan bases are a little bit upset as to what went down here, but let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Either way, how do you feel about this entire move? What are your thoughts on the transaction? What are your thoughts on the future? What are your thoughts on how these guys are going to perform with their new organizations? Is this actually something we should be cheering for? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.